On the first day of voting, the floor gave to me a YouTube live conversation. Oh, I started too soon. Hey, y'all, I have a song for you. It goes like this. On the first day of voting, the Flowbus gave to me a YouTube live conversation with State Representative Leslie Herod.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Anybody out there? You guys watching? They'll come. They always do. They'll be here. You'll start to see them right there. Oh. So it is the first day of voting in Denver, Colorado.
Yes.
And I'm here with my representative. I contacted my state representative just to talk about voting.
Love it.
Actually, it's a little more than that. Do we have folks out there? Is it coming through, Meg?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the people will come.
And I think we're on Instagram too. On my Instagram.
We are. Oh, hey.
So, hey.
So hello, followers of State Representative Leslie Herod. I'm Jonny 5 from the Flowbots. So we got to look at both cameras.
Yeah, let's do it. We can handle that. Yeah,
we can do it. But here's the thing. So today is the very first day in Colorado that you can like walk into a building and vote.
Yeah.
Because we have early voting in Colorado, which a lot of people don't, I think, really get what that is.
Yep.
But you can vote now.
Yeah. So most Coloradans got their ballots last week in the mail.
Right.
Because we have mail voting. Everyone gets a ballot in the mail.
Well, male and female, anyone can vote. Whatever your gender.
You're right. Whatever your gender.
Yeah.
Or if you live outside of the gender binary, you can vote as well.
Anywhere on the spectrum.
Fair. Anywhere on the spectrum. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because we're not in the binaries anymore, right? We're like, no. See, exactly. So anyone can vote by mail, but it's not all mail ballots. So I try to change that language a little bit because even if you get your ballot in the mail, you can still vote in person.
Right. You can walk in. You can walk in. If you like to mail things, you can do that. If you like to put things in slots without paying for a stamp, you can do that.
Yep.
And if you just want to walk in there and press the buttons, you can do that too.
Yep. I personally like to go in and push the buttons. I'm a button pusher.
Let it be known.
Yes. If there's a button in front of me, I will likely push it.
Well, before it's over, we're going to find a button for you to push before everybody. Anyway, this is just the type of conversation. I'm just doing some civic engagement for those of you just joining us. With my state representative. This is my state representative and my friend, Leslie Herod.
Yes.
So we're going to have some fun here. We'll give people information, but we've known each other for a little bit now.
Yeah.
And we knew each other before you were my state rep.
Yes.
When do you think we first met?
Oh, do you know this, the answer?
No,
I thought we met, I know we met at an action.
Is it at an action? I thought it was at my house.
That's awkward.
Well, because my dad was supporting you early on for some role. So Leslie's been involved in Colorado in politics in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. And
in social movements in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And
I thought I met you at an action first and then found out that was your dad.
Oh.
And then saw you again with him.
Okay. Well, that could be. But the point is, at one point, I'll put myself on blast a little bit because you were running for office.
Yeah. And
you were asking like if I would endorse you. And I said, well, I'm torn because my good friend's brother was running against you in the primary, and it was a little awkward.
Yeah.
Because I told you like, well, I've like eaten his food sometimes without him even knowing it.
Yeah.
In his house.
And I was like, yeah, but I have your dad.
Yeah. I mean, my dad, liked him also.
Exactly.
And in the end, as you know, I voted for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you won.
I did win.
And you also won in the general, and now you're my state representative because I moved into your district.
For
a while, I didn't have to decide because I was living outside.
Yeah.
So we got some folks out there. Oh yeah, here's some people. Hey everybody, we are winning. Hey Rob. Hey Arnold. Hey Vinny. So for folks watching, I'm just curious if in Colorado we have early voting. Like you can vote today. And I'm curious in your state if you already can vote. So maybe start sharing that as we talk a little bit here.
Yeah, and list your state too, so that we know what state you're in.
Yeah, what states do we have out there? Where are you guys? I know some of you might be.
I mean, Colorado's obviously in the house, but
I'm sure we got some Colorado. But we got Washington. Yes, you can early vote. Missouri, South Carolina.
Nice.
Ohio. So this is a quiz for you. You might, if you don't know,
Texas?
Don't make it up. But we're learning here. There's, we just lost the chat. Yes, you can early vote in Texas, which means just voting, not early voting. Just vote today. In France, it may be a little different. Nevada, yes. Washington, you could vote by mail. Awesome. Oh, Georgia. I know there's a lot of antics happening in Georgia, voter suppression.
Yeah. You know, they don't want a Black woman to run the state. We do.
Yeah, that's a pretty exciting race.
It's exciting. Stacey Abrams will be the first African-American female governor in the history of this country. It's time.
In the history of the country, not even during Reconstruction. It was all men.
No, yeah, it's all you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a huge opportunity there. We have a huge opportunity in a lot of places across this country. And that's why it's so important that we vote.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to come so close that we have to make sure that we are supporting people who reflect our values and that we don't give up on this system because of how gross it is in Washington.
Right.
We can actually support people at the state, at the local levels, you know, and all the way up.
Well, and to be clear, you're not running right now.
I am running.
You got it.
Yeah. So thank you. Because of support of folks like you, I am unopposed in my reelection for state house.
So okay, so you're running. So it's that's right. Because you're on my ballot.
Yeah.
But the point is, we're not here to. I'm not here to promote. I mean, I love Liz, but I'm not here primarily to promote her race because that's not the issue. She's actually, and she's taking her energy and putting it somewhere different.
That's right.
And that's actually why we're doing this YouTube live.
That's right.
So, all right, here's what happens. Every time the election happens, you get in these annoying Facebook arguments. It's about like, does voting matter? Does it change anything? What does it mean to work within the system? And let's set aside the candidates for a second, because if you're somebody that just does not believe in voting for whatever reason, I'm not here to like argue with you forever, but I do want to make a point that in Colorado at one point, marijuana was completely illegal. And now not just medical, but recreational marijuana is legal. And that happened because of elections. So there's a lot of things unrelated to candidates, unrelated to parties that really changed in the community. And that's what I kind of want to highlight today. And that's why Liz is here, because she is spearheading something that could really, really, really be impactful for Denver around mental health. And it's amazing. It's a big opportunity. There's no one opposing it. There's just people working hard to make sure that it passes.
Thank you.
And I was wondering if you could tell the people about it, because even if you're not from Colorado, like just knowing that this type of thing is possible and may well exist in your community, I'm hoping can give you a little bit of hope. So what is Initiative 301?
Yes, thank you. So we have ballot measure 301. It is called Caring for Denver, and it is our opportunity. Yes, look at that. Our opportunity to provide more mental health and addiction services for people who live right here in Denver. For just 25 cents on a $100 sales tax increase, we can provide $45 million worth of mental health and addiction services right here in Denver. It's so great because we really need it. We need more mental health and addiction services. Most folks don't realize, but on the streets of Denver, we have 3 to 4 overdoses every day.
Wow.
Every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The leading cause of death, single leading cause of death for young people in Denver, ages 10 to 24. Do you know what it is?
Suicide?
Suicide. It's suicide. And our largest mental health facility in Denver right now, do you know what it is?
The jail?
The jail.
Yeah.
The largest mental health facility is the jail. And so we can't keep incarcerating ourselves out of mental health and addiction challenges. We have to provide people with the services they need. So Caring for Denver will do a lot of things. It'll put a therapist in every school.
Really? And
encourage peer support programs, not just in the schools that can afford them. And there'll be jail diversion. So there'll be an opportunity for a place where people can go that's not jail, that's clean, provides respite and access to services. And there's also a harm reduction component.
So right now you have like police basically having to deal with mental health issues constantly and serve these roles that they're not trained to serve.
They're not trained. They don't want to do it. They don't have any other alternatives though. So you take someone to jail for 72 hours and then they just go back out without any services or supports or help. They just end up back in jail and it's a cycle, right? And so this will change that cycle because it'll provide a facility in downtown Denver where we can take people that is not jail, that provides those services. And here's the other beauty. You'll have co-responders, mental health professionals, riding along with law enforcement to respond on the scene.
So is that anytime there's a call that has some kind of a mental health component?
We would like it to happen anytime there's a call, right? That there's always a co-responder at the scene. And it's in every district. And so there'll be co-responders that will float. They'll be available in every single district across the city. Right now it's in a few districts, but we can make this broader. Here's what I love about co-responders. is not only do you have a mental health professional respond on the scene, which is most of the calls right now. You'll have a mental health professional respond on scene, but law enforcement actually then has access to a mental health professional too, because they're riding along with them.
Right,
and that doesn't go on their record. It doesn't tarnish their whatever.
Right.
And so when we have co-responders on scene, we see less excessive use of force incidences happen because they're getting their mental health needs met as well, which is why first responders are so supportive of this program. But it really is about that network of support, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I used to live over on Franklin and Colfax.
Yeah.
And that intersection is a little bit loco. Like that intersection there, and I lived right there, right behind Voodoo Donuts. And there were, you know, there's a lot of people that just go out, and there's a lot of people that are just wasted wandering around. But there's a lot of people who are homeless there. There's a lot of people with severe mental health issues. And there's communities of folks there, some who are sober, some of whom are actively drinking. And so there was kind of always some form of drama happening. And the police were very often there. But there was a lot of times where I wish there was someone else I could call. That there was some other response, because I said, I don't want to just like call police and send this person to jail. I mean, they haven't done anything, but there's clearly a crisis. At one point, there was a woman just standing in the complete cold for probably a total of 6 hours. I passed her one way, passed the other way, tried speaking with her. And I've seen her around. I know she survived that, but you know, I wanted some other mechanism. So I've had that thought a lot. Like, I wish there were street workers, or you know, there's roles I've even had in other cities. And I was in Rhode Island. There was this thing called I think it was just the street workers who could actually respond on this other level to things that were happening. It sounds like this is about building up that type of infrastructure to say, let's proactively address mental health, proactively address suicide. Housing too is a component.
Housing is a component too, of course.
How does housing factor into this?
So we have to have supportive housing too. We think that's extremely important. And so a part of Caring for Denver is really getting at those, the social determinants and those root causes, housing and jobs, right? So ensuring that people have access to good quality housing that has supports in the housing is going to be really important. Excuse me. And that's something that we will be doing with Caring for Denver. And then you're right. Outreach workers have gone down in Denver. We don't have as many as we used to, but the issues continue to rise. And you know why they're not there? It's because of funding. Organizations have had to consistently cut funding for their mental health services, for their outreach workers. And I'm telling you, if you don't have the relationships with people who are on the streets or people who are in crisis or in recovery, they're not coming to you. And we need to make sure that we have personal interactions with people. We have outreach workers that know what they're doing. You know, why not take care of each other? Why not?
And this is the point. Let me back up a step, because I know we have people from all over the country. I want to just say hi to everybody, acknowledge you. Thanks for being here. All over the country, many of you could probably relate to one of two things, and maybe both of them, because I think we have both in Denver. You already heard that we have a crisis around addiction and people dying from overdoses. So I know, just when we go on tour, I remember talking to folks from Dayton, Ohio, from other places that say, like, yeah, that's an extreme problem where we are. The other thing we have is tons of people coming to Denver. We have, I don't remember the number, but there is just a lot. There are a lot of new people in Denver. People who come here and just like, you know, it's flooded with people. And part of that means that there's people that maybe don't know all the issues. They don't know the history, but they do bring resources. They do bring, you know, they're coming here enjoying the city. It's kind of like this big urban playground for a lot of people. And so, you know, when you look at the whole ecosystem, it's like we have some acute issues and we have a bunch of new energy, a bunch of new people. And those new folks, a lot of them have some jobs that seem to pay pretty well based on where they're living and how they're pushing everybody out. And I don't think these are people that would say they don't want to support something like this, but they might not think of it. And this is why when I hear the argument like, well, I'd rather not give my money to the government, I'd rather just it goes to charity. That stresses me out. I don't have time to comprehensively create a system to address these. You know, I've given money. I've had people sleep on my porch for like 2 or 3 weeks or a month and a half. You know, that's like personal charity. That's fine, but that never addresses it. And what you're talking about is how do we address it systemically, and what does it cost us?
So just for 25 cents on a $100 sales tax increase. So every time you spend $100, you give 25 cents.
What if I spend $1?
Then it's 2.5 cents.
Isn't it point? Isn't
no, I'm sorry.
Less?
Yeah, less.
It's like I don't even know it basically.
Right. Sorry.
I was just trying to
figure it out.
But it's like less than anything.
So it's basically nothing, right? But it does make a difference because it's so many people do it. $45 million is the fund that will be created $45 million annually. So not only are we going to be able to provide one-time support, it's long-term. So then organizations can depend on it. Nonprofits can depend on this work happening. That's hugely important. And so what I will also say, though, is that it doesn't only have to happen in Denver. People can run these initiatives to really get at mental health and substance use challenges, to de-incarcerate people, right? To end mass incarceration and the war on drugs. You just got to do it at the local level. You just got to start in your communities, and we can make this happen. And sure, I'm an elected official. I see the numbers on the budget. I see how it affects our system. I'm on the judiciary and the finance committees. But it's happening everywhere. It's happening across this country, and we can do better. And shout out to those who are already doing it.
Yeah. That reminds me, I should go back and read your bio like I was supposed to.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Let's do that.
Okay. YouTube Live is weird. You know, it's its own world. It makes you forget things you said you were going to do before the video started. So I wanted to maybe take it to a little more of a personal level, because I think what's always been inspiring to me about you, and the fact that even before you were elected official, but is I can always tell that this entire thing is personal for you. Like and I don't think you're someone that only thinks that change only happens through, you know, holding office. But I know for sure that you're the exact type of person that I want to be in office, because of the way I hear you talk about how you want to use that power. And I wondered if you could share just a little bit of like you could have done you have done so many things, and you could have done so many things with all your talents, and you chose to go into public service in this way. I was wondering if I could just hear like why did you do that, and how does this relate? Like, so why elected office, and why this initiative?
Well, I mean,
it takes a lot of work and energy.
Yeah,
You're putting a lot of work in.
It was a hard decision.
Besides just the cold joy of power, of pure power.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah. It was a hard decision for me to run, especially in Colorado. I don't know if you guys know, but there's not a lot of Black people in Colorado. And when I was looking at like what I wanted to do in life, and I was an intern at the Capitol, at that time there was only one other African American female serving the entire state. So out of all 100 members, there was only one African American female. And thankfully she was there, because it inspired me to think differently. I thought I was going to have to move if I wanted to run, or maybe work behind the scenes, which I did for a while. I worked for a governor. I worked for President Obama as his deputy political director for Colorado during his 2012 campaign, and saw all these people. I saw these people running and winning, and I thought that's great. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm gay too, right? And so then it was like, there's no queer people of color in office. How am I going to deal with that? Like, is that going to be an issue? Is there going to be whisper campaigns? You know, what's going to happen there? And so I just decided, you know what? I'm going to run as myself. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to be out there. I'm just going to talk about what I want to talk about, and we're going to see what happens. And that's how I ran my campaign. I mean, I wanted to run because there are issues in our communities that need to be fixed, and that we need to have a diverse group of people at the table solving those problems, right? Or looking at those challenges. And it's not just elected officials, right? It's community. And I just didn't see a lot of people serving who were as in touch with community as we wanted to see, right? And so when we really met, we were talking about a lot of things that were going on in this country, specifically around police violence and shootings and things like that.
I mean, murder. The No Enemies campaign was kicking off in 2014 in the midst of Black Lives Matter. I remember you being at a lot of those events that we like. That's a lot of the times we were working together.
Exactly. And so we need people on the outside pushing, and we need people on the inside pushing. And that's why more activists should run for office and win. And it's not a bad term if you say you're an activist running for office. Right. You can win. I won. But I do it. I do it because too, like the reason I work on these issues, because it affects me and my community personally as well. So when it comes to caring for Denver, I don't know if I've told you this story, but you know, my sister has been in and out of the criminal justice system for about 20 years. And it all stems from addiction. She's been on and off of drugs. She's been, you know, whatever. She's older than me. I can't say much older than me anymore because she told me not to say that.
She's like, don't put me on blast.
But we grew up in different places and in different times. And she grew up in Oakland. And it was very different than my upbringing. And so she had a really tough time, but I saw how zero tolerance policies and 3 strikes you're out policies and never getting any help for her addiction just cycled her in and out. And that's what they wanted. They were making money off of her, right? And then we find out probably just about a year and a half ago that she had an underlying mental health issue that never got addressed, no matter how many times she was in the system, and that it stemmed from assault, sexual assault at 16. That's when she really started getting involved. That just recently, you know, and it's because we're not dealing with real issues and we're not having real conversations. Yeah. And so I thought, you know, what if my sister was in a place that had access to good mental health services? Mm-hmm. What if she was able to talk to someone? What if she was involved when she first stepped into the criminal justice system and got access to services, not access to, you know, 4 or 5 years locked up and then back out and then back in? It could be a whole different scenario. So
you're basically right now trying to create the world that if it had existed for your sister, all the mechanisms, all the support that if she had it, her life might have ended up completely differently. Her years of struggle might have been completely different.
That's right. And there's so many sisters out there, right? Brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews. We all have folks who we know that have been involved in the system and just couldn't figure their way out, you know. We can actually change that. And so, yes, Caring for Denver is a piece of that. I do it in my work in the Capitol as well. You probably know that I've worked very hard to resist new prison openings. We've stopped 4 attempts at prison openings, bipartisan support with that in Colorado, because they just want to increase the Department of Correction budget and beds when really we can address this in a different way. Caring for Denver gets at the root causes so that they never end up in the correction system to begin with.
Well, and this is one of those things, right? People talk about the word intersectionality, and it gets talked about in terms of identities a lot, but it's also about experiences, right? So these issues don't exist. They're not separate. So sexual assault isn't an issue over here that has nothing to do with incarceration or mental health. They all, we see in the story that you're willing to tell about your sister, that like these things actually tie together and affect real people's lives. And so this approach, this response is also intersectional. You can't only talk about housing without talking about mental health and without talking about suicide prevention. So these issues are, you know, interconnected.
Exactly.
And I also really love the way y'all are doing the campaign. This we have the power to, and it has different people saying like what it is that they want the power to do: support mental health and addiction services, or you know, actually provide for our friends when they're in these moments of crisis.
Exactly.
Provide for strangers on the street that we run into beyond just whatever we can think of ourselves.
Exactly.
And I think that's part of what I also really admire about this campaign. And there's no active opposition either, right?
Right. Yeah, so you can hear all the different Power 2 stories at caring4denver.com or on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can see the different Power 2 stories that we're releasing every single day, true stories of Denverites. I mean, you don't need facts and figures to understand that this is a problem. You just need to go outside, or look inside, and you'll see it. And so, so that's what we're doing. But yeah, we got to stop addressing issues in silos. We got to stop the old way of dealing with policy and staying in the Gold Dome and the Capitol and writing. It's like, get out in the community, get to know people, you know, and then figure out what the challenges are. Ask people what they want you to do as an elected official, and then do the work. That's my philosophy.
Yeah. Well, I'm very, very grateful for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And I know people watching probably, we haven't had a chance to actually take any questions. Did anything pop up? We have Alma and Meg who've been following the feed a little bit. Are there questions that or comments that we should address here? Let's see.
Mr. Gamer was asking, what's the success rate of people getting out of the program? So maybe just clarifying
that this is someone.
So Caring for Denver will provide a funding source to expand programs and create new and innovative programming. There are places that have facilities like the one I mentioned earlier, like Seattle has one that I went out and visited. Vancouver is doing some amazing work around this.
Okay, so you've you looked around to see which models to use in that.
And when we talk about success rates, I mean, basically what we're saying is that people don't go into jail. And they have extremely high success rates of that. And it's about long-term recovery and planning too. So it's not like you get dropped off once and you're done. It's really about having relationships with people on the streets, with law enforcement, with TAs, with public defenders, making sure your record's clear, not keeping people from housing just because they have a record, things like that. And then we see a huge increase in success and a decrease in our recidivism rate, meaning they don't go back to jail.
And I see a comment here from a veteran. Can you say a little bit about how this would affect veterans?
Yeah, I mean, look, my mom's in the military. She's a vet now. She's retired. And access to mental health services in the military is not great. They're doing better. but it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
And so this will provide those community-based resources, and there will be veteran-specific programming because we need it, right? There's already some good programming happening, but it's not expansive the way that it should be. I should say that Colorado is one of the worst states for mental health funding in the country.
Really?
And so regardless of your background, you're not getting the services that you need. But specifically for veterans, that peer support is so important.
Right.
The family support is important, which again, even if you get access to a therapist or to some type of mental health programming or care, it's less likely that your family will get it in a way that is really going to change the game. And so we need that community-based support. And it should come from community to community, not just having to go to some cold, sterile hospital building or cold building and have this. So there's veterans program, but there's also things like Art to Ashes, you know that program?
Yeah, I was a facilitator.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Art from Ashes, right?
Art from Ashes.
Yeah. And
shout out to Art from Ashes.
Yes, and that's mental health services.
Right. Absolutely.
Like you are that's an amazing program.
Yeah.
And that's what that does. And so it will support those types of programming too.
Okay.
So that we can actually, people who are in the community doing the amazing work with people get paid for their work.
Right.
They can grow their programming.
Yeah.
And then we can evaluate it through Caring for Denver and not put that responsibility on the nonprofit, the small nonprofit.
So Initiative 301, if you're in Denver, Initiative 301.
Yes.
Vote yes on 301. Now it's at the bottom of a long ballot.
Yeah, last page of a long ballot.
So you could go to the bottom first, then vote the rest of that after that.
Yeah.
And this is the first day of voting in Denver, first day of voting in a lot of places. We're going to be doing a little something like some Flowbots thing every day related to voting, and we'll be kind of keeping you all connected. I also know it's Halloween coming up. I know this is unrelated, but I thought I might can I show you like two of my old Halloween costumes?
Yeah, sure.
It seems unrelated, but so we were at a show in St. Paul.
Okay.
And do you know who this is? I'm gonna test your hip hop knowledge here.
Oh, that's a hip hop person?
Yeah. And you guys know what costume this is, right? Nobody? Let's see if we got anybody. Let's see what we got. This is my. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell the answer. Someone has to figure it out. But this was made using a mask from the Sleep No More mask in New York City. But anyway.
Okay.
So, and then.
There you go.
Yeah. See, it's Doom. He's a greatest rapper alive. Another costume I've enjoyed is I end up using the same costume over and over sometimes out of laziness. And this is not the whole costume. It's not just this. My mom made this for me when I was very little.
Oh.
But
by the way, your mom's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I love her.
I like what she's done. But I got one of those when dogs have surgery.
Yeah. A cone?
A cone. And then I wear that with this. The cone of shame.
Oh no.
And then I can't eat anything at any Halloween party.
That's not fun.
Yeah, it's a bad idea for a costume.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about costumes because I want to change how you all think about voting. You don't have to wait till Election Day, November 6th, if you have early voting. Mm-hmm. All you really have to do is just vote now. Or if you're starting to go to costume parties like this Friday or on Halloween, then you for sure should have voted.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to some different folks. We're probably going to announce this more officially, but there's probably going to be a costume contest, like a voting themed costume contest.
I love it.
So start thinking of your Halloween costume. Does anyone know their Halloween costumes already?
I do.
You already know?
Yeah. Because I'm the same thing every single year since I was a kid.
A cone of shame dog?
No, actually, I'm surprisingly not.
Really?
No.
Do you want to borrow? You said you didn't like any of my costumes.
No, I'm a vampire every single year.
Really?
So, surprise people, I'm going to do it again.
Will you send us a photo?
I will. One thing that we did was so much fun with New Era, Colorado.
One of the organizations, back when I did your bio, I remember how I mentioned that you actually helped us. You're a co-founder of New Era Colorado.
Yeah.
The state's leading organization focused on the engagement of young people.
Yeah, we did this fun program called Trick or Vote. So we took a whole bunch of young people and on Halloween knocked doors, and instead of asking for candy, we handed out ballot guides and asked for reminded folks to vote. And asked how they were voting. So
this time it might be hashtag Trick or Vote, and you could just vote.
Yeah, and you could just vote.
Could just say trick or treat at the election.
Yeah.
The
one thing while you guys are giving us your costumes, these are pretty cool. So just be sure that you vote your entire ballot, people. So not just caring for Denver, which yes, vote for that, or not just your governor or your congressperson. Vote every single place on the ballot. Yeah. And if you don't know how to vote, there's ballot guides.
Right. We're going to be sending out some info hopefully by Wednesday that, so you can connect with different ballot guides like for your local area. So yeah, I mean, I also don't let that be a barrier though. That's why we're getting started now, so you can take the time to educate yourself, but still don't be that person that's like, you know what, I don't know enough. I haven't done the research. So I just won't vote. So yeah, it's the magical sweet spot combination.
Yep.
Educate, and motivate.
Yes. And if you want to change the game, vote every single candidate on your ballot. Do your research and make sure that they support what you support. I will say vote Dem, but you vote how you want. Just make sure to vote every single spot. Even if it's Secretary of State, which people maybe not vote for, or Attorney General, those positions have a huge say in our everyday lives.
Right.
A huge say in our everyday lives. If you're a small business owner, you want to register your business, Secretary of State in Colorado does that. Attorney General, they sue on behalf of the state.
Yeah.
So, we need to have people who reflect our values all the way down. And so that's what we need. And look, someone's going to be the big bad wolf. Do not elect the big bad wolf to office. Make sure that you vote.
We got some good costumes here. All right. Well, let's do this. We're done for now, but I'd like to know what is on your ballot that really matters. So as you guys are leaving comments, if you know already what's something that's really important on your ballot, not a candidate, but what's like an issue, a ballot initiative, an amendment to the Constitution, a proposition that you feel passionately about that really affects you or affects people you know. So let us know what some of the ones are in your state, in your city. And tomorrow we'll start tweeting some of those out and helping to amplify and spread the word about those. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
State Representative Leslie Herod, my representative. Thank you for representing me.
Yeah.
And thank you for going above and beyond and showing leadership on this issue. This is not, by the way, like the normal job description of a state representative. It's to start an entirely different campaign for an initiative. So you've taken a lot of initiative, and you're doing it for all of the most amazing and right reasons. And it gives me hope and a belief that we can create better things. So
thank you.
Thank you for doing it. And yay!
You're
Hug
so
your
great.
Representative.
Thank
Hug
you.
your representative today.
And do make sure you follow me on social media too.
Instagram,
Facebook, and Twitter.
Yeah.
At Leslie Herod, HEROD, and Facebook is Representative Leslie Herod.
Actually, maybe we'll put it in, down there.
In those things, the blurbs. Okay.
Yeah. Can I just do that and then later we put it there? I don't know.
And hey, don't forget to reach out to your representative too. It's pretty easy. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, you
look at this.
Yeah, you responded. Look who she is. So maybe y'all can do that too. Thanks for listening, y'all, and watching. And we'll be back tomorrow for the second day of voting.
See ya.